on. Hold on.
I never want to see her front again.
Former star of Bravo's Real Housewives of New York City, Leah McSweeney, is suing Andy Cohen, Bravo, and others, including NBC Universal and Warner Brothers Discovery, over what she calls a hostile work environment.
Everybody wants to know this. Do you have a hand, Andy, in firing and hiring housewives?
I do.
What?
Yes, I do.
Oh my God! So if anything ever happens to me, I need to come for you.
Yes, you do.
Oh, what?
Yes, you do.
Once hailed as the charming king of reality TV, Andy Cohen built an empire on Bravo, hosting parties, interviewing stars, and smiling for the cameras. But behind that polished grin lies a world of manipulation, lawsuits, and betrayals.
No, but I know. I mean, it's like you're playing, and then it goes one step too far.
No.
No?
No, that's bullshit. You don't say that.
From stirring drama among the Real Housewives to alleged behind-the-scenes power plays that left colleagues furious, Andy's perfect image is starting to crack.
I feel like Andy always has something against me. I don't know what it is.
Who, me?
Yeah, you're always against me for some reason.
I'm not against you.
I don't know. I just feel like you go at me the hardest. I got thick skin, but I tell you what, it's getting worn away as the years go by.
I think Andy's rooting for you. Andy's rooting for you.
Tonight, we're diving deep into the shocking truth about Andy Cohen, how the man everyone thought they knew may have been hiding a much darker story. This is the rise, the secrets, and the deserved downfall of Andy Cohen.
Who you gonna have sex with tonight? Tell me.
I'll tell you when I go
hear.
on a reality show with whoever I'm having sex with.
Well, you're on a reality show right here, baby.
I'm actually
You're the
not,
host.
honey.
Yeah. I'm not talking about this anymore. It's a
We've been
personal
very
matter.
supportive.
I want this closed down. Okay? Stop it, Andy.
Andy Cohen's story begins like a fairy tale. But make no mistake, even fairy tales have dark chapters. A young journalist with sharp instincts for celebrity gossip, Cohen climbed the ladder at Bravo with an ambition that bordered on obsession. He wasn't just building a career. He was constructing an empire, brick by brick, camera by camera. To the public, he was the charming, witty host who made reality TV feel fun, approachable, and glamorous. But behind the bright lights and champagne toasts, a different story was unfolding. Colleagues from those early days remember a man who was controlling, calculating, and willing to manipulate anyone to get ahead. Promotions weren't based on merit. They were based on loyalty to him and his vision, sometimes even blind loyalty. Whispers of favoritism circulated backstage, and those who dared challenge him quickly learned the cost of dissent. Cohen's charisma became both a shield and a weapon. Everyone saw the smiles and jokes, but few saw the strategic maneuvering, the quiet pressure, and the subtle intimidation. It was during these formative years that the seeds of his future downfall were planted. The same cleverness that allowed him to rise also made him a figure of envy and resentment. Cast members, staff, and even executives felt the weight of his control, yet he remained untouchable in the eyes of the public. His empire grew, but so did the cracks beneath its glittering surface. Every laugh on set, every playful quip on air was carefully calculated to maintain an image that was not entirely truthful. The audience begins to see the duality of Andy Cohen, the beloved TV personality on screen, and the manipulative media powerhouse behind the curtain. His rise wasn't just meteoric, it was a warning sign. The higher he climbed, the harder he would eventually fall. By the time Andy Cohen had cemented his position as the face of Bravo, his charm was no longer just a tool. It had evolved into a carefully honed weapon. While viewers laughed at his witty commentary and applauded his hosting finesse, behind the cameras, Cohen's world was far more ruthless. Sources from former staff and insiders reveal a man who would pit employees against one another, subtly manipulate cast dynamics, and control narratives with a precision that was almost surgical. The empire that seemed playful and glamorous was, in reality, a chessboard, and everyone else was a pawn. Cohen's relationships with the reality stars he promoted were particularly telling. While he publicly celebrated their drama for ratings, he privately wielded knowledge of their secrets like ammunition. Many cast members later admitted that what they believed to be friendly guidance often turned into coercion, subtle pressure to behave in ways that would maximize audience engagement, no matter the personal cost. Rumors circulated that certain cast members were even silenced or marginalized if they dared challenge his decisions. The line between mentorship and manipulation blurred, leaving a trail of resentment and broken trust in his wake. even his public persona as the affable, relatable host was carefully constructed. Media insiders hint at a darker side. Cohen's reputation was managed meticulously, while criticism was quietly dismissed, ignored, or spun. Staff described late-night strategy calls, endless power plays, and behind-the-scenes maneuvering that ensured he remained untouchable. But power, as history shows, is rarely permanent. Each act of manipulation, each ethical compromise, added invisible weight. Cracks that were small at first, but would widen as the years went on. Viewers start to realize that Andy Cohen's influence came at a cost. It wasn't just reality TV that he controlled, it was careers, friendships, and reputations. And while the public continued to see the smile, the laughter, and the champagne, a quieter story of fear, frustration, and betrayal was brewing behind the scenes.
Cohen, I didn't call you. You shouldn't have come for me. Let me tell you a little bit about Andy Cohen. He was a miserable boss for all those years. I mean, I think in the 6 seasons that we did My Life on the D-List, I think Bravo visited the set twice. 8 Emmy nominations, 2 wins. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know the whole time I was working there, I didn't know that Andy Cohen wanted to be me. For example, I hosted this award show one time called the A-List Awards. Actually, they did it twice. I didn't know Andy Cohen was on the red carpet, trying to be funny, asking questions on BravoTV.com. I didn't know that when they ended the D-List and I desperately wanted to do a talk show, Andy Cohen would be the first television executive in the history of television to give himself a talk show that seems to get picked up every season.
The glossy world of Bravo could not hide the cracks forever. By this point in his career, Andy Cohen faced whispers and headlines that threatened to unravel the carefully curated image he had built. From lawsuits to public scandals, the man behind the charm found himself under scrutiny like never before. One of the earliest major controversies involved allegations from former employees who claimed a toxic work environment, favoritism, and even intimidation. Reports suggested that those who questioned his decisions or failed to toe the line could face sudden demotions, canceled projects, or being edged out quietly. The very empire that Cohen had built on reality TV drama now mirrored that chaos behind the scenes. Critics began to ask, if he could control the stars and storylines, why not the truth? Another shocking chapter revolved around some of the reality stars themselves. Several cast members hinted at being misrepresented, edited to appear more controversial, or manipulated to increase drama for ratings. While viewers laughed at the on-screen tension, the real-life consequences were significant. Friendships shattered, reputations damaged, and careers threatened. Insider sources later revealed that Cohen sometimes used private knowledge of these tensions to his advantage, a revelation that stunned even his most loyal fans. Legal battles also began to emerge. From defamation suits to disputes over contracts, Cohen's name started appearing in headlines for less than flattering reasons. The irony was stark. The man who had made a fortune showcasing other people's drama suddenly found himself at the center of his own real-life controversies. The lawsuits were not just financial, they were symbolic, exposing a pattern of behavior that many had long suspected, but few had dared speak about publicly. The narrative becomes clear. Cohen's empire, though powerful and glittering, was built on fragile ground. Manipulation, secrecy, and relentless control might have propelled him to fame, but they also planted the seeds of his public and professional downfall. The questions no one had asked yet: how much of this empire was sustainable, and how long could the charm shield the truth loom large, setting the stage for a dramatic unraveling? By now, the cracks in Andy Cohen's public persona were widening. The media mogul who had once seemed untouchable found himself embroiled in feuds that shook both Bravo and his fan base. While he had long thrived on orchestrating drama for others, the tables were turning. Cohen became the center of the storm, and this time, there were no cameras to edit the chaos into a glamorous story. One of the most talked about controversies involved heated exchanges with reality stars who had grown tired of his control. Several high-profile cast members publicly criticized him, accusing Cohen of favoritism, unfair treatment, and even bullying. Interviews and social media posts painted a picture of a man who wielded influence ruthlessly behind the scenes, creating an atmosphere where loyalty was demanded and dissent was punished. Fans who had idolized his savvy and charm were now seeing a different side, a manipulative figure more concerned with ratings than relationships. The backlash wasn't limited to stars. Former employees and insiders started speaking out, alleging toxic workplace culture at Bravo. Claims ranged from being silenced when raising concerns to being pressured into unethical situations for the sake of show drama. Media outlets picked up these stories, amplifying the narrative that Cohen's polished on-screen image didn't match reality. Headlines questioned his ethics and leadership style, marking the beginning of a public reckoning. Social media became a battlefield. Longtime fans expressed disappointment, dissecting past Bravo episodes and highlighting instances where Cohen's influence may have crossed the line. Viral threads and online commentaries analyzed how his decisions had affected both stars' careers and personal lives, further eroding the trust that had once been implicit. The very platform that had elevated him, reality TV, was now being used to critique him relentlessly. The public feud with stars, combined with workplace allegations and social media scrutiny, signaled a new reality. The charming king of Bravo could no longer hide behind the glitz and glamour. The audience was starting to question everything they thought they knew, and the once unshakable foundation of his empire was showing its first real signs of instability. The world behind Andy Cohen's polished smile and witty banter was darker than most fans could imagine. While he was known for hosting glamorous reunions and cleverly orchestrating reality TV drama, whispers about his private life began to surface, and they painted a very different picture. Insiders revealed shocking details about Cohen's relationships, his personal indulgences, and behind-the-scenes dealings that contradicted his public persona. Allegations of inappropriate behavior, manipulation, and favoritism in both his professional and personal circles started gaining traction. While previously dismissed as tabloid rumors, the credibility of these sources grew as multiple former associates and employees corroborated similar experiences. Even more damaging were reports of secret conflicts with prominent industry figures. Cohen's negotiations with cast members, executives, and production teams weren't always clean. Some alleged that he had used his influence to cover up mistakes, sabotage careers, or leverage situations for personal gain. These revelations cast a shadow over the shows he curated, making fans question if the drama they loved was manufactured at the expense of others' well-being. The tipping point came when private messages and emails leaked online, showing a side of Cohen that fans rarely saw. The charming host who had once positioned himself as a trusted confidant was now being portrayed as calculating, self-serving, and willing to compromise ethics for power. Headlines screamed about the behind-the-scenes truth of Bravo's empire, and even loyal fans began to distance themselves. Andy Cohen's reputation was not only tarnished, but publicly questioned. The private scandals, once invisible behind the camera, were now on display for the world to dissect. The carefully constructed image of a witty, benevolent TV host was unraveling, and the narrative had shifted. This was no longer just about ratings or drama on screen. It was about accountability, ethics, and the personal choices that finally caught up to him. As Andy Cohen's private scandal surfaced, the legal world began circling. Allegations were no longer confined to whispers and leaked messages. They escalated into formal complaints and lawsuits that threatened to dismantle the empire he had built. Former employees, producers, and even cast members accused Cohen and his production company of misconduct, exploitation, and creating a hostile work environment. One of the most explosive claims involved accusations of favoritism and retaliation. Staff members alleged that they were pressured into silence or faced professional consequences for speaking out against inappropriate behavior. The legal filings included emails, text messages, and testimony that painted a chilling picture of manipulation behind the camera. These documents became a treasure trove for media outlets, igniting public outrage and prompting questions about Bravo's corporate oversight. Another lawsuit focused on breach of contract and financial misconduct. Reports emerged that Cohen had been involved in negotiations that some deemed unethical, potentially misusing funds and leveraging his influence to secure personal benefits. While he publicly denied these allegations, the sheer volume of complaints made it impossible for fans and the press to ignore. As the lawsuits gained traction, the pressure intensified. Sponsors reconsidered partnerships, network executives faced scrutiny, and Cohen's carefully curated persona began to fracture. Social media became a battlefield, with fans and critics dissecting every public appearance, every interview, and every statement. The once untouchable host was now under siege, with his credibility hanging by a thread. Andy Cohen's legal troubles had escalated into a full-blown crisis. His personal and professional lives collided publicly, leaving no room for the charm and wit that had previously shielded him. The stage was set for a reckoning, one that would determine whether he could recover or if his downfall would be permanent. By the time the lawsuits and scandals reached the public, Andy Cohen's image was already in tatters. Social media erupted with hashtags, memes, and heated discussions, turning his private failings into a viral spectacle. Fans who once idolized him now questioned his integrity, while detractors reveled in exposing every misstep. Every public appearance, talk show, and interview was dissected for inconsistencies, evasions, or signs of guilt. Mainstream media outlets jumped on the story with relentless intensity. Investigative reports dug into Cohen's past dealings, unearthing old controversies and casting new shadows over his career. Entertainment news cycles, once filled with gossip about celebrities he showcased on Watch What Happens Live, now focused squarely on him. The irony was palpable. The king of reality TV commentary became the subject of a real-life scandal show. At the same time, Bravo fans and former colleagues began speaking out. Former cast members revealed unfiltered accounts of his behind-the-scenes behavior, painting a picture of a man whose charisma masked manipulation, favoritism, and intimidation. Influencers and critics amplified these revelations, creating a wildfire of public opinion that was impossible to contain. Brand partnerships and sponsorships, once abundant, began to vanish. Cohen faced cancellations, contract renegotiations, and public rebukes from high-profile collaborators. His empire, built on entertainment and trust, was faltering under the weight of exposure. The very networks and platforms that had elevated him now felt compelled to distance themselves from the mounting controversy. Andy Cohen was no longer the untouchable TV mogul. He had become a cautionary tale of fame, power, and the fragility of public image. The stage was set for the final act, a reckoning that would reveal whether redemption was possible or if his downfall was absolute. As the dust settled, the full scope of Andy Cohen's downfall became undeniable. Lawsuits dragged on, settlements were made quietly, but the damage to his reputation was permanent. Former allies turned cautious, distancing themselves from his name. The shows he hosted or produced faced scrutiny, advertisers pulled back, and even his fan base fractured, divided between loyal supporters and those who felt betrayed by the man who once seemed untouchable. Behind closed doors, Cohen attempted damage control. Public statements, heartfelt apologies, and promises of personal growth emerged. But for many, these gestures were too little, too late. His carefully curated image of wit, charm, and influence crumbled under relentless exposure. People questioned whether someone who wielded so much power could ever truly atone for their missteps. The industry that once celebrated him now used his story as a warning. Fame is fleeting, influence can be deceptive, and no amount of charisma can shield you from accountability. Andy Cohen's downfall serves as a stark reminder that behind the glitz and glamour of television lies a world where actions, both public and private, have consequences. Fans, critics, and commentators alike now view him through a lens of caution and skepticism. The empire he built still exists, but its luster has dimmed. What remains is a complex, controversial figure, a man who entertained millions, yet fell from grace in a spectacular, unavoidable way. If you found this deep dive into Andy Cohen's rise and fall eye-opening, hit that like button and subscribe for more unfiltered stories from the world of reality TV scandals. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the latest exposés revealing the hidden truths behind your favorite stars. And comment below, what do you think Andy Cohen could have done differently? Was his downfall deserved, or did the media exaggerate his mistakes? We want to hear your take.